כן, התחלתי את ההקלטה, כן.
אוקיי. טוב, אז היום יום שני, 20 לדצמבר 2021, אנחנו מקיימים כהרגלנו, היום הפגישה היא לרן יידיש אונליין, פגישה מספר 135. ויש לנו תוכנית מסודרת שעד שאנה תבוא, אני רוצה למסור קצת אינפורמציה על דברים שהולכים מחוץ לפגישות שלנו וקשורות לפגישות שלנו. וזה ודאי יעניין גם את נתנאל וגם אתכם. אתמול מוניק דהן נסעה עם כל החטיבה של התיכון שלה באשדוד, ב4 אוטובוסים, 140 איש, הם נסעו ליד ושם. וביד ושם הם שהו 5 שעות. ב5 השעות האלה קרו 2 דברים. רוב תלמידי החטיבה שמעו עדות של אליעזר גרינברג בן ה-92 על חייו תחת שלטון הנאצים, אבל הנסיעה הייתה בעיקר בשביל החלק האחר, הכיתה של מוניק דהן, ששם היא לימדה על קצטניק, כ-27 תלמידים, הם התאספו בנפרד, והייתה שיחה בין מוניק דהן לתלמידים שלה על קצטניק, ובאו לצלם את הפגישה הזאת אסף לפיד והצוות שלו, שהם מכינים את הסרט על קצטניק שיוקרן, לא כמו שחשבנו ביום השואה בשנה הבאה, אלא שאסף לפיד קיבל הערכה כדי להספיק גם להכניס לסרט את הפגישה ביד ושם אתמול, וזה יהיה, הוא קיבל הערכה עד יולי. זאת אומרת, הסרט יוקרן כנראה בקיץ, אבל אחרי יום השואה. עכשיו, מה שמעניין, שהסרט הזה, על פי מה שאסף לפיד סיפר למוניק דהן אתמול, הוא יהיה לפחות 2 שעות, שזה דבר ללא תקדים לגבי סרט כזה, וכנראה שיהיו שם דברים שאין תקדים למה שאגיד עכשיו. הסרט הזה ישקף כנראה כיצד נושא שנוגע לשואה, במקרה הזה קצטניק ויצירתו, העניין מתחיל במחקר באוניברסיטה, בנו, והוא זולג ועובר גם לתיכון, באמצעותה של מוניק דהן, שלימדה 3 שנים בכיתות שלה, בחטיבות הגבוהות, על קצטניק, ומבחינה זאת, יש לי רושם שהסרט יהיה אוניקום. כיצד המחקר מהאקדמיה, כן, גולש עד לרמה של תיכון, של חטיבה גבוהה, וזה יהיה לדעתי סרט מעניין ביותר. כמובן שאסף לפיד לא יוכל להכניס את כל השעות שהוא צילם במשך 5 השנים האחרונות, ככה זה בסרטים כאלה, שאחרי שמצלמים מה שהם קוראים בלועזית פוטאג', את כל השעות, אחר כך עורכים ובוחרים מה מכניסים, כדי לתת צורה לסרט ואיזושהי רציפות. אז אני מכריז שאני מאוד מרוצה, כי אני בטוח עכשיו שהסרט על קצטניק אכן יהיה, שלא כמו 5 ניסיונות אחרים בעבר, שסיפרתי לכם שפנו אליי לא יודע, 20 השנים האחרונות, עוד 5 אנשים שונים עבדו קשה ולא יצא מזה שום דבר. הפעם אין ספק שזה יהיה. אסף לפיד אפילו נסע לליידן, כן? במקום איפה שקצטניק עבר טיפול ב-LSD, וצילם שם בליידן, מה שפרופסור בסטיאנס, את המכון איפה שהוא טיפל בקצטניק. והוא אפילו, שמעתי אתמול, רצה לנסוע פעם שנייה לאחרונה, אבל בגלל עניין הקורונה, הוא נאלץ לוותר על נסיעה שנייה. טוב, זה דבר אחד.
אנה הצטרפה אלינו, רק רציתי להגיד לך.
מי?
אנה הצטרפה אלינו.
שלום, אנה. עוד מעט אנחנו נשמע את אנה, אבל לפני אנה, אני רוצה להגיד ליאיר, אם לא אמרתי לו עדיין, ולכם, שהספר שאסתר הרצוג שלחה דרכו, באותו יום שדיברנו עם יאיר, איזה כמה דקות אחר כך, טובה ירדה לדואר של התיבה שלנו ומצאנו את זה בדואר, והיום בבוקר אנחנו העלינו עם גליה שעובדת איתי במפעל דוב סדן, העלינו פוסט בפייסבוק של מפעל דוב סדן, ובפוסט הזה יש הפרטים על הספר של אסתר הרצוג, ורצינו להעלות גם כמה צילומים של התוכן והכריכה הקדמית והאחורית, ובצורה מוזרה, אף פעם לא קרה לנו, בנוסף לפרטים שהקלדנו, התמונות של הכריכות לא עלו, ואנחנו לא מבינים למה. אז נאלצנו בבוקר, גליה הקלידה את התוכן של הספר של אסתר הרצוג, הספר בעריכתה, ועכשיו בפייסבוק של מפעל דוב סדן, יש לנו כל הפרטים הביבליוגרפיים, ועמוד וחצי של התוכן, שגליה הקלידה, המאמרים שישנם בספר, ובעוד כמה ימים אנחנו נראה האם היה עניין בעולם וכמה אנשים נכנסו. ואני אומר לבלה שכדאי אולי שתספרי לאחותך, והיא יכולה להיכנס, אולי תסבירי לה, כן, זה, איך זה נקרא, דוב סדן, כן, דוב סדן אינסט, הפייסבוק יחיאל שיינטורי, תגיע לפוסט האחרון. טוב, ואני שמח לשמוע שאנה פה, ואנחנו דיברנו בפגישה הקודמת, בסוף הפגישה, שאנחנו מעוניינים לשמוע מה יש לאנה לספר על תולדות המשפחה שקשורים לשואה, ושמעתי מבלה שאנה שלחת המון אינפורמציה לבלה, אז אנה, יש לך דיבור.
כן, שלמה גם איתנו, שלמה הצטרף אלינו.
שלום.
Shalom, shalom לכולנו. It's good to see you, and almost we can say we are in the coffee shop, and we can discuss about the Shoah, because it's not my prediction, but I hope there will be some questions, some helps for me to say something more. Anyhow, I was thinking what to say, because I just said little bit the last hour meeting. So I was thinking, because from what I will start my speech about the family. Professor Sheintuch said, when we talk about age of my father, he said, oh, he was kid. And then after I was thinking, okay, when I was in my father age, I was really kid. I was playing with bubes, but my father and his colleague was like all the guys from Warsaw was already mature, because the war changed them very quickly. So they finished with the childhood very quickly, and they start to be like the older colleague. because the brother of my father's, 3 brothers, but 2, most of the 2 was much more older, and they already was fighting. There already was cavalier, because when the boy was finished 16 years already, the youngest boy with the short trousers should to call the olders cavalier, panie kawalerze, because there was the other discipline like today, not by the you. No. When somebody was older already, you should to call him with respect. So from the 15, 16 years, the boy already was mashu, was something in the street. They was planned something to do. They was doing some revolution, let's say, in the street. So when the war started, the young boys, especially when the ghetto, I sent to Bella a few maps, but because we know always we talk about the very famous street of ghetto, but I will talk today about the less known street, but very important. What I discovered very late, I mean, few years ago, I discovered the street of my family, my father's, was very important street, was Świętojerska name, and was the end of the ghetto in the new town, was Old Town and New Town, and there was the border. My parents' house was the last, but last in the border, in the wall. Then I discovered, after in the map we can see, there was the 2 very important place in this wall. There was the most important, the Schmuggler place. I don't know if everybody understands the Schmuggler, but...
Contrabanda.
Contrabanda. There was the Contrabanda 2 place, was wall in this, not wall, the hole in this wall, the kotel, yes? And what I wanted to say, that even the older boys have the other groups, and they was decided what to do, how to find the guns, because we know how was with the guns, was very difficult to have the guns, to have something to shoot. You know, the boys was looking, talking between the armia, the Polish armia, and the uprising, before uprising in ghetto, they were starting to thinking from where to get the ammunition, the guns, was very difficult. But
you speak about Armia Ludova or Armia
AK, Armia AK, and Ludowa was the other place. AK was in the Warsaw, in the Warsaw. And the uprising, the Warsaw uprising, have also few famous name of the Jewish boys, which there was friend of the other boys, and it was natural that everybody together fight. But I am talking about the little bit smaller generation, like my father, 10, 11, 12, 30. They was the guys, they didn't want to be with the family, with mama, tata in home. They started to make kombinacja, what to do with other things, how can they fight. And as I know from my father relation, the boys was also make the groups. There was, the name was Apache. Apache, it's the very famous name in the Polish Warsaw language. Apache, was Apache in the Indian. And Apache was, yes, Apache in Indian time in America. But Apache was named for the for Polish boy, Jewish and Polish, I said wrong, the Jewish and not Jewish Polish guys, but there was completely contrary to the group of the ONR. ONR, this is the anti-Semitic organization. Organizacja ONR Narodowa, Organizacja Narodowa Radykalna, radical groups for the war when there was. So Apache was little bit hooligan, but not bad boys, but little bit like they was living in the street. They was poor. So most of them, Jewish and not Jewish, was living the guys in the street. I think from the many books, as you know, and my father, the most of the young boys was living in the street. Nobody wanted to stay in home with the parents. So all their days was living in the street, even sometimes they sleep not. So they know more than even the older person because was always in the street. They knew what was happened, who was arrested, who was arrested, who was good, who was bad, what somebody said, what was in the other shop, what was this shops, because they was always in the street. So I was looking for these young boys, the history of the Schmuggler, and most of these boys, the young boys, was already involved in the contrabanda to help in the ghetto, because there was not only helps, but also was adventure for them to be hero against the Germany. So for them was like the way to live, really to live, not to stay with other things, you know, to do nothing, like, you know, to only to watch. They want really to do something. So they have friends, was from the both sides, because before the ghetto, in this district, everybody was living together, because in the old town and new town was the Christian part, and there was many church, many famous family was living. But this is the part of the near to Nalewki.
Nalewki.
And the Platz
Nalewki was the most commercial Jewish street in Warsaw.
Yes, exactly. It was very famous, but after we will see in the map, now it's little bit.
Anna, do you want me to put any map?
Yes, in the map. We can start with the map, please. So they will know exactly, we will know what I'm talking about, the Świętojerska, Franciszkańska, Karmelicka. This is the most famous street before uprising and during uprising in ghetto also, because we know the famous street which we're talking, it's Miła, it's Dobra, it's Chłodna, but this Świętojerska, I discovered.
The question is, I don't know which map.
A map, you know, when you have this is with the green, I think was the green line, because we can see where is the border of the ghetto and the Schmuggler, the contrabanda places. Was like the line, such a line was mapped with the green. Anyhow, I will talk during them.
Maybe יכול להיות שאני יכול לשאול שאלה בינתיים עד שבלה תמצא. From what you said, I understand that your father, because he was in a house which was a borderline between the ghetto and the Aryan side, did I understood that he easily was outside the ghetto and inside the ghetto? And he knew non-Jewish boys from the other side.
Exactly, because there was the schools, was the street together, and handel.
It's hard.
Yes, my grandfather had the small restaurant with the shop, like they have the shops, how to say, where you can buy things, you can drink, you can eat some bread with small, how to say, appetizer, like, you know,
a kind of coffee house.
Yeah, herring. Yeah. There was where was all the life of the street, because
Anya, can you see the map that I have?
Yes, I am seeing the map. And
is this the one?
yes, can be also, because you can see the Plac Krasiński. It's the very important Plac Krasiński because also was involved in, there was a near, no.
Say Polish.
Plac Krasińskiego był...
כיכר קלשינסקי, כיכר קרשינסקי.
כן, אני מראה את זה. כולם יכולים לראות את זה?
כן.
Is this the one that I'm pointing with the arrow? Yes. Okay, yeah.
And there was the when, because was a little bit after change, because when till there was the street Nalewki was near the Kierkar Krasińskich. So because little bit was after the change, Nalewki was disappear, let's say, the street and the handel. But you can see the Świętojerska and Ciasna. And this is what you can see. It's before the second change of the ghetto, because so like that we can see there is Koźla till the Rynek Nowego Miasta, the plac of the new city. But you have the other map where is the change after. This only Ciasna and Świętojerska. It's you will find with such a point violet color. I think it was violet color where there is exactly point of the Schmuggler place, because the what now we saw the map first was the first cartography of the ghetto. After the little bit change, they make
this one, Anna.
Yes. Now you can see these 2 points, like just now in the green. You have this such a in the violet. The little bit change here. Yeah, up. No, this is with the, go to the green line, Ciasna, green line. No, Ciasna, it's in the right. It's Franciszkańska. Here, a little bit up. The left, no, down. You see this, this is the, and others. This is its meaning. This was the hole in the wall for Schmuggler, for Contrabanda.
Okay.
So you can see how many you have. 1, 2, and 3 up. In Koźla is very small, very old street.
כולם רואים את הסימנים האלה, את הסגולים, כן? אוקיי. So, שם היה חורים בחומה שמבריחים יכלו לעבור דרכם? Is that what you're saying, Anna?
Yes, כן, נכון. There was, okay. I don't know if there was Brama gate or was there really hole. I don't know. I couldn't find how big was. Sometimes was the hole in the wall, in the cegła. How you say this red, from where you have the wall, you're doing the wall from this red?
ברמה הכוונה לשער או חור?
שער, אבל זה... You build the wall from the red, how you saying in English?
Again, what's the question?
Like the stone, the red stone you're doing the wall. Bricks, exactly, yes, the bricks. Yeah. So the hole was made by the young people from the, take out the bricks, because there was not always the Schmuggler. In the biggest the gate, like Schmuggler, was many this how you say in English, the carreta with the horse, with the full with the foot, because before uprising, before the
התקוממות.
כן, before the when they started the worst time in the ghetto, when they start to Umschlagplatz and Treblinka, there was in the beginning, there was, let's say, I don't want to say good life, but there was organization life between Polish and Jewish in the handel. They start to be very good contrabanda. because was even the biggest, you know, the car was going to the ghetto with the food. It's the huge or afterwards, the second part, was very difficult, the life for them. But before, there was still the contrabanda, and still in the gate, the posterunek, there was the normal soldier, but after start to be from Ukraine, was the worst controller. They start to killing everyone. But before, when they start to be contrabanda, there was still possible to make by the money to entrance to the ghetto, to smuggle, to take the boys, small or girls, small on the people couldn't, you know, walk little bit easier. I don't want to say that was easy, but was still easier because the other people was controlling the ghetto. After start to be time very, very difficult because also the start to be other group of the commando and other group of the controller from Ukraine. This was the worst, what we can say in Warsaw, the Ukrainian soldier. Anyhow, as you see, what I wanted to say from the story of my father, he said that many times he was catching by the Granatowa Policja, in the blue police. And it was only, they picked them, but they didn't kill them till the first time of they was speeding. Sometimes he said there was some, you know, difficulty, but still the boys was in life. But afterwards started to be worse and worse. My father also said about that he saw young, very small Jewish boys was in house in Świętojerska, and after 1-2 nights it was disappear. So he didn't understand what is going. But for example, I know that in this house was the place to start to move the kids from the ghetto. From this was also the place, the contrabanda of the kids. And because there was the house where was many people, there was big kamienica. It's house, it's kamienica, I don't know why. When it's old building. And there was not exist anymore because was completely during the uprising, the Warsaw uprising was completely, these houses was completely damaged. But in this kamienica, one was also Marek Edelman was coming because they have, as I know after from the archive, that was also in Piwnica in the background, there was a place for the keeping the guns and arms, other arms for the was preparing for the uprising. So this house 36 Świętojerska 36 was mamashu, was something, because was like go entrance. Many people, you know, my father said that so many people was like, you know, like in bazaar, like in the there was so always something was happening in there because. Of course, he didn't understood many things because he saw it, a lot of men's, women, small children, really children, small, like 1, 2, 3 years. Sometimes they was sitting in the house, his house. But what I wanted to say that nobody was asking, like today, the kids are asking parents why, what. So during the war, nobody asking, because sometimes I was asked my father and he said, I never asked my parents why this, who is coming, who's came, who, if I saw somebody, I really started to quickly forget what I saw, even the kids. my father said that they saw some people who came to take these kids from the house somewhere. We don't know where, of course, and who took, but nobody was asking. And the same with the names. If somebody was older, like 18, 19, they remember the names. But for example, my father, he said that the most of the kids, boy in the street, they have pseudonym. Not because there was conspiration, but the pseudonym was helping to use them to be somebody, and was so normal to have pseudonym during the war. So my father said that really forgot the names, many names, the true names, because people was changing the names, not only as the for the pseudonym for the war, but also they changed completely the names. So as you know, the Jewish changed the names, and some of them they deleted these names because if there was kid, nobody even remember how was the really true names. But what I wanted to say that after they was all the family, my father's family everyone was separated. So there was find them 45, 46 after the war. They started to looking for, because my father was alone. As professor said, he was kid, but he was alone, like most of the kids. The Jewish, not Jewish, was in the street. The kids of the street was alone. And I think they was grow up very quickly. And I think they was really fight for life. I couldn't ask my father from where he have the food, because I know that he didn't have this food every day. Even after the war, one time he said that when the war was finished and he came and he understood that he met only the mother. He said, nobody asked how you survived. Nobody asked where you was, only a little bit. But he said that he remembered that in the 45, the kids was looking for food, like, for example, they start to be small, it's not restaurant, but when there was finished the war, people started to little bit live. Was you said there was people was living under the wall and under the building. So there was like the Crusoe. If you remember the movie, the Crusoe was calling the Warszawian Crusoe, because people was going out like the ghost, you know. Even the war was finished, but people was so so under the city, in Piwnica, in the, so they was like the Crusoe, because they was going out and they looking, oh yeah, it's finished. It's the war is finished, but they start to be little bit alive, and people start to not the life, but people start to doing something like the handle or the small how you calling in the food in the street, something, you know, you was selling, because people wanted to little bit to start to organize it. But he said the kids in the who survived, it was so how you saying this when you don't have the food, you I forgot the word. Struggle when you are hungry, non-stop hungry.
Starving.
Sorry. Oh, okay, thank you. Starving. That when he saw first time after so many years the cutlet. You know what is cutlet?
No.
The cutlet is like the from the meat.
קציצות בשר.
קוטלט.
Kotlet, nahon.
Yeah.
When he saw, he couldn't believe what he said. He was so hungry, and somebody gave him a little bit to taste. I mean, this is really the life of the people. The kids they was so hungry that we can say, okay, most of the Warsaw kids, there was in the ruin, ruin.
בחורבות.
Ken, in the ruin was living. So I think my father was living in the ruin. He never said about this exactly, but when I know little bit from the stories, little bit, so I just started to looking for, because after the war, it's not finished for the Jewish, was not finished exactly with the end of the war. Everybody know the 47, 46, 47, 48 was happened in Poland. But we have also to remember that some Jewish wanted to create the life. They didn't know what to do, because when the war was finished, 45, there was not really finished. We can say, I thought all my mature life, then 45 was exactly the finish the war. But now we know that so many people was emigrate, was still in the camp. They didn't back to home. They was still in the Germany. They was in Austria. Some of them was escaped. The brothers of my father was because they was fighting in uprising, and they was involved in the conspiracja and contraband and everything, as I understood. One was in two or three camps, also in Buchenwald and Mauthausen. I think Mauthausen was also. And when he back to Poland, because people wanted to back to Poland after the war. There was not like that everybody escaped. I think the people wanted to first to find the family, the rest of the family, to know who survived. So he was so, of course, the people from the camp, after the camp, was so sick, not only mentality, but physical also. They couldn't eat normally. People, you know that who was eating, started to eat normal, he died of the problem with the stomach. So they should do, they should do it little bit, but there was like balloon. The body was looking like the balloon because there was so in many sickness of the with the stomach, with the all the body. So but there was time to a little bit to live, not normal, but to start to live. The other uncle was in Stalag, was off and Stalag. In Oflag was the officer, and Stalag was every with the how you say, with the from the army, little bit less than officer. There was in Germany, the camp Germany was Stalag. And when he came, because he was survived by the American, he came with the American uniform to Poland. And in this time, 47, 48, people thinking to still was not time to know what will be in, there will be divided, Europe will be divided, still was big balagan. So people really was planned to escape again from Poland to the West, after to Israel, to America. So some of them escaping, but some of them was thinking we will do later, because maybe it's not so now, it's good occasion. So the brother of my father said to all the young boys, even my father want to escape, but said, it's not the right situation to escape to West Europe, because there's still nobody's waiting. First of all, nobody's waiting for the Jewish in West. Nobody waiting. Yeah, nobody was. I mean, not with the open hand. Nobody was, you know, so welcome for everybody who want to say. The still was situation was not clear. So decided to stay and to look how will it be. No, and after was border closed, was start to be divided Berlin, and to be clear, then situation is really changed. But just I don't want to talk about the polio because everybody knows how it was, but what I wanted to say, that situation for Jewish was not like now we can also hear from anti-Semitism relation that they have the good position. There was some of them, yes, but some of them only, but most of them, first of all, we know how was the plunder. For example, in the 45, I think, there was no these houses in the Świętojerska, but some of them was rest. And my grandmother, she said to my father, who was kid, for today we can say the kid, that he have to go back to the city, to this street, looking for what rest. If he will find some mebel, some furniture that he can keep and wait for the rest, the family who will come, because people started to find their furniture, whatever was rest. But you know how it was plundered. There was the Polish, the Warszawian was plundered so much. This, I don't want to talk about the Jewish house, but after, even after was like, there was special, there was this cars with the horse was full of the horse from the village to Warsaw to see what we can take, what we can find after the Jewish, after the ghetto, after the other Warszawian. There was from this simple people from the village, there was men like, and the same like was the ghetto was fire with the ghetto. It's some horrible thing, there was the story. Anyhow, my father was, he thought that he found this old table from the living room, and he thought that he's from family, and he was keeping in some completely without nobody. This house was half of, even some 1/4 of this house was rest. He was 1 week. He was alone. He was waiting for family, for somebody who will come, because he thought that he found something, and he was sleeping on this table because he wanted that nobody will take this table. So this was really how the kids was mature, how was really doing for all the family. There was not small anymore. There was, a part of the other, even the old people, the same was, they were doing the same. And he was,
Oh, Anna, how old was your father at that time, at the end of the war?
He was born in 1930.
So he was 15, 16.
15, but when the start was 12, 13, but 15, he was already, let's say, old. He wanted to be really guy, not the small boy. But in the 45, when he started in this house, he said that he was so afraid, afraid that that somebody can kill, because there was a criminal, still there was many criminals, and the Polish was most of them, not most of them, some of them was really the criminals. They wanted to find something, to plunder, you know, to looting, you know, everything was, they needed everything. So to have something, even the old table was very, you know, there was difficult to keep this mebel, this furniture. So I think, and after the war, there was situation what to do after. Yes, what to do, because from the camp they came part of family from the camps, from West, from Germans, so they survived. The people decide they will stay in Poland. The most of the family, because they thought we'll see what will be. The Europe still is balaga, still they don't know what how to divide. So, and after war situation, then people for the Jewish came the second birth war time. As you know, in the village, small village, when they came back, there was killing. You know this, everybody know there was killing. Who came back? Because people take them, all this, they took, the Polish neighbors took all what they left. So first, was the reason. It's better to kill. Second, it's there was what they feel it before the war. Now they have occasion to do it, you know, because you are killing the neighbors just for that. Or you are sick, or you always hate this person, you know. And they have, because it was such a balagan. After the war, they said, if we will kill, nobody will see, nobody will know anymore. If we will take this, everything, nobody will know. And all the map of the houses, of the property was completely stolen. The name, changing the name in the judge was changing the name of the owners. Who was the owner? The name was keeping in the old before the war, the documentation, but after the war, there was the new documentation. And every house, you know, what was the Jewish was after Polish. So proveniencia, like now, today, doesn't exist because proveniencia, because nobody want to say the truth. And even if you had something, you can say that you have a document before the war that was belong to your family. Now you will never receive anything, and because the last year was exactly the documentation was described by the government and by the president, that nothing we will give back, nothing we will. It's not about the money, but it's about the to be. Justice, to be, you know, that if it's not your, you cannot say that it's your. If you plunder, if you loot it, you can't keep it as your, because it's not true. So, and back to the 47, 48, 49, there was most of such a situation that most of we can say now there are really some young generation that are looking for this documentation. Many of the Jewish was killed after the war by this situation, that they came back from the war to the small village and they said, hello, I survived. So after 1, 2, 3 days, they again disappear, but disappear forever. You know, they was killed by the neighbors. So,
אנה, אני יכול להגיד משהו בעניין הזה? אני רוצה להגיד משהו שהאווירה הזאת לגבי ההרגשה של האוכלוסייה הפולנית לגבי מה שקרה ליהודים, אני הייתי עד ב-1984, כן? 40 שנה, 39 שנים אחר כך, סטודנטים ומורים מהאוניברסיטה העברית, נסענו לפולין, למחנות המוות ולבקר מה שנשאר. ויום אחד אנחנו היינו באושוויץ, אבל אנחנו הרי אנשים חיים, אז אחרי שהיינו באושוויץ, הלכנו להוטל, למלון, לאכול ארוחת צהריים, מה אפשר לעשות? ברגע שגמרנו לאכול, יצאנו החוצה כדי לעלות לאוטובוסים שלנו, כי נסענו בפולין 3 שבועות באוטובוסים. ואז לפני שאנחנו עולים לאוטובוסים, והיה שם פרופסור שמרוק, והיה שם פרופסור ורסס וסטודנטים, כן, שלנו, ואנחנו רואים אוטו עומד בחנייה, ואנחנו מתקרבים למכונית, ואנחנו רואים כמה פולנים בתוך האוטו, על הרצפה בקבוקי, לא יודע אם זה וויסקי או משהו.
וודקה.
וודקה נגיד, ואנחנו מתקרבים, למה? כי אנשים מהאוטו, שלא היו יהודים, קראו לנו, הם ראו איזה 40 אנשים, שומעים שמדברים איזה שפה, שנשמע להם אולי יהודי, אז הם קראו לנו פס פס פס. ואז אני ניגש, ופרופסור שמרוק ניגש, והפולנים באותו אוטו מסתכלים עלינו בעיניים ענקיות, ומה הם אומרים? ג'י? מה? יהודים? אתם עוד חיים? זה הייתה המשמעות של העניין ב-1984. זאת אומרת, ממה שאנה מספרת, יש להניח שהאווירה הייתה אצל הפולנים מיד אחרי המלחמה, שכל היהודים נרצחו או אינם יותר, ואנחנו יכולים לתפוס את מה שהם השאירו. ועוד ב-84 הם התפלאו שיש עוד יהודים מסתובבים להם שם בפולין. עכשיו, הייתי רוצה לעשות מין אינטרמצו אם אנה מסכימה, ולתת לשאול שאלות אם יש לגבי מה שאת סיפרת. מה דעתך, אנה?
כן, זאת חיה, זה...
אפשר לשאול אותך כמה שאלות?
כן, there was always was not like the, okay, before the 68, everybody know, 68 was always something, always was not Nahon. And it's not true that, as I said, is the discussion that, oh, the Jewish had the good position in the government, or the government. Okay, there was some, but as I said, it's not the, for the normal, simple Jewish, what they were still living in Poland, there was always, let's say, difficult, not because you wanted to have better and you have difficult, but always was something that you was, first of all, you started to stop to, first of all, the most of the Jewish stopped to talking about what was happened during the war. There was only in the JIH, the institute, you couldn't, there still was living some survivor Jewish, they was there. But the people start to completely, not to forget, but to go to the underground. So I think that most of the people, what they forget, the second generation even don't know, we have so many Polish new generation now, they discover they are Jewish, yes, but it's not that they want to forget because they was shame. No, because they said it's better such a let's say it's better if you want to stay among others, you have to be like others. So they said, okay, we will be like the others. After, as you know, the politics, everything changed, many things for everyone. So to escape after was again difficult. 68, they was kick out everybody, almost everybody. Who stayed, stayed. But the 68, when I was with my father, I was with my father a few times in Israel. So he met some, not friends, but the family of the friends from childhood. And also we met people from the 68, because I have the connection through my cousin with the 68 generation. So we found them, and we have some meeting in Jerusalem. So what I wanted to say, okay, I wanted to say something very personal. Once of my trip to Israel with my father, I have the very bad idea. I didn't know. I said, oh, let's go to Yad Vashem. I will show you the Yad Vashem, because it was the time that I didn't know many things about where was, how was, whatever. Just a little bit, I just know it's something, but, and this was my really bad idea, because my father almost died after the Yad Vashem. He couldn't, when he would go out, he couldn't, you know, respire. So we was sitting, and he said everything back, everything. So he said, I don't want to talk, I don't want to say, but I saw this, everything I saw, and I was a monk. I think that people people who really had something had in life during the war, they saw something, or there was among the people who he saw the people who dying in ghetto. So when he saw these photos in Yad Vashem, for him to do something catastrophe. There was catastrophe for my father. And I understood after that was not good to just to come to Yad Vashem, because I was like the generation when I was much younger, that I saw, oh, it's nice museum, it's really archive, it's good, that you will see Tate, you will see something, we will see the photo of the ghetto, so on. But this atmosphere, this everything together was too much. So even people wanted to forget, they never forget, but the kids after the war, the young boys after the war couldn't, you know why they wanted to they didn't speak, because we are in the subject that people, not everyone wanted to speak what was. I think they passed the hell, who survived from the hell, they wanted to start to normal, to live, to do it, everything, to start the life, because they knew it that if they will only talk about what was, they will never have the new life. So they said, oh, we will have the new life, or we will stay in the past. And they said, if we survive, we have to live in normal life, because and people didn't want to talk. I think that I never met people who really wanted to talk how was, you know, maybe today, maybe in some, but even the street, because they was living in the few, there was three in Warsaw where my family was living, because they changed, because there was, as you know, there was ghetto, they're changing, they have the others, and they should to move, and people always moving. And what is one thing what I never learned from my father, I really regret that today when I have something, house, everything, I'm so to my house, like, you know, I am stick to my house. But people who lost many things during the war, who was losing all the time, they was not so stick to the subject, to house or to car or whatever. I think they was only about to live and family, not the material things. I mean, they didn't was so with the material items so stuck. I mean, because so many things they lost during the war. So, and they knew that you can lose all the time something or everything, that you can, today was, tomorrow will be not. So this generation survived really the hell, and like Edelman, who also didn't talk so much about many things. I mean, then this Warsaw, this was really the special city. The Warsaw was really special city. What I say, the who was living in Warsaw before the war, during the war, they understand there was really something special for Jewish, the place. Really, there was very modern, very, you know, European city. Out, even there was anti-Semitism before, also we know about, but still there was the part of the Warsaw, there was people, they have the shops, the business, and there was doctors, advocates. So the Warsaw was special, really special city, and who have the roots from Warsaw, they will understand that this is some other life, little bit of the other cities, because here people was really, first of all, there was the uprising, the ghetto uprising. This is something, because this is was always the boys, the girls, the young generation was fight in Warsaw. Always there was make the, you know, they was thinking what to do, where to go, was, you know, to green card, to buy, where to buy the files, the green card, or how to move the people, you know, how to survive, to somebody to take from the ghetto. I think the Warsaw was really the conglomerate of all the characters of the people before the war and during the war. The people understood that if you want to survive, you need some friends for this. So they was really the good. Some of them was really good in the good company. Some of them, they have bad luck, and you have also always remember that German didn't recognize who is Jewish. Only thanks to the Polish people, they know who was Jewish. This is because, okay, was easy if the Germans saw Orthodox, they saw the Hasidic, they knew that it's the Jewish, but most of the Jewish was they look like the other peoples, and even the names, nobody, not everybody have the Jewish name. So only the neighbors know who is the Jewish. If the police, Gestapo was arrested, there was only from, I don't know how to say, donosicielstwo, from somebody who said, in the Gestapo in Shucha, we found in her archive many such kartka, uprzejmie, Panie Gestapo, uprzejmie donoszę. It's meaning, Mr. Gestapo, I will kindly would like to inform who is the Jewish, who is so. So this was the really situation that for many of them who didn't survive was thanks to the neighbors, really. And if you, Bella, can show only the photo from the contraband, from the rest of the, because I found some rare photo of the smuggler in the wall. And the
just a minute, somebody at the door, I'll be right back.
Okay. So some question?
כן, אז האם יש שאלות לגבי כל הדיווח הרחב של אנה שנגע בכמה וכמה דברים שונים? כן, בואו נעשה סיבוב.
I would like to ask you if you think that the intelligentsia in Warsaw is less anti-Semitic than the common people.
No, it depends of the who was before, because don't forget the intelligentsia also was very right, like very right party, and some of them was very right party. So there was ONR, as I said before, there was organization of the yes, this is the Kerzelak. I wanted just to say, sorry, Yair, Kerzelak was the biggest bazaar. When was the Nalewki was finished, the Kerzelak was the biggest, even before the war, but from the 19th century. But during the war was very important place for the smuggler and for the the false and green card, for false and everything. You couldn't there buy the guns. Uprising from ghetto was buying there, the boys was buying from in Kerzelak, not only from this place, but this place was where they said, if you lost bicycle in the morning, afternoon, you couldn't find your bicycle in this bazaar. So this bazaar was keeping all the looted things, plus all the things what you was needed to survive in ghetto and in Warsaw. So there was the biggest, bazaar, black bazaar. I mean, you couldn't find the food, arms, and false the document. What you needed to, for example, if you wanted to take out from ghetto someone, you was going there, you have somebody have somebody, and somebody is bring you the false documentation of the name of everything for this Jewish person. Next one, please.
Let me see, okay.
I wanted to tell you that, hello?
Ken?
My late wife, she was born in Otwotsk in 1946, and she came to Israel in 57 in the Gomulka.
Gomulka.
One day, I think in the 90s, we went, myself, my wife, and the children, to Otwotsk. And we went to the house where she lived till the age of 11. And the people were very nice. It was a single house with a garden. So we stayed, it was in the summer. We stayed in the outside, and they gave us food. And they were very, very nice people. And they were.
No, I don't want to say that people are, everybody was bad. I want to say only I said how was, and was this, and this was. It depends who you met. This is the Krochmalna, the Bazar Janasza. Janasz, the other, it's near to the Hala Mirowska. It also was very place, Krochmalna, everybody know the Krochmalna. During the ghetto, there was, because it was epidemic typhus and I forgot, and Szmugel. There was the place also very important for this all the contrabanda. Why I want to say that it was so important contrabanda? They said after the war, they said that we have all the monument symbols of the war, of the heroes, but we don't have the statue or something, some symbol of all the people, Jewish and not Jewish, who made the contrabanda, because this was only, and this is, you can see the Jewish and in the bazaar. This was looking this bazaar this is not the Jewish bazaar. This is the Polish bazaar, not Polish, but the Warsaw bazaar, where was the Jewish. What I wanted to say, the Karcelak and Hala Mirowska was bazaar. There was the Jewish also have the shops, and in the archive, I found that the best day was the Friday, because in the Friday was the Jewish for Shabbat, and Christian was for Friday was buying the things, the food from the Jewish shops, like the fish, like, you know, all the from the village, the chicken, goats. So you can see how it looked. The bazaar was not nice, but was very very needed, these bazaars. We have some more photos. We have, yes, I think we have. Also from the contrabanda, we can see how was looking the contrabanda.
אנה, מה שאני רוצה לשאול,
כן.
ממה שאת סיפרת על האבא שלך, האם אני צריך להבין שהוא לא היה חוזר לישון לבית של ההורים, אלא הסתובב ברחובות כל הזמן, 24 שעות?
Bella, can you help me?
Your father didn't go back home at night, but he was living in the street all the time?
No, because this house, I think it's sporadic, was time to times, I think, because this house was, have the bunker. This house had the bunker, yes, because I found that I sent also to Bella the list of the bunkers, and I saw the many bunkers was in Świętojańska, and in this building was down the bunker. I think was going, and it only was depend of the time, because Świętojańska 36, 28, 34, 30, 32, and 28, so meaning a lot in Świętojańska, because Świętojańska was a long street, but I was surprised they have the bunker in Żob for the fighting the uprising, the ghetto uprising.
So Anna, what you're saying that some of the houses, some of the apartments were actually bunkers with ammunition and fighting. So the children could not stay at home, so they were living on the street actually?
I mean, they're not living in the street, but they was going to the other people to live somewhere.
Okay.
I don't want to say they was living like the cats in the street. No, it was, you know, you know, if the parents was in conspiration, and if the parents was involved in to do it something, sometimes they couldn't know where is your kids, you know, because they coming, they said, okay, I am still alive, I'm good, I am with my friend, blah, blah, blah. And also the kids never said to parents what they do. You know, this is that if was even they was fighting, was never said in home. I am in some group. I'm going to fight.
What do we see in this picture now, Anna?
This picture is zdjęcie z nad rabinem przez mur. This is the smuggler. This is its boys. The wall. How was the smuggler? When before was a time that was little bit easier even up to by the up the wall to jump and give the food, you know, in the some like how you say, it's not you know how you have the it's not suitcase, how you calling this is simple before how you had this with, you know, bag, it's a bag, but it's not right bag. It's something nice, but this is was like, you know, they was with the
sack.
Yeah, sack, simple sack, you know, with the foods was with the kartofle, with the some bread, you know, whatever was easy, because this first time of the ghetto was still possible to make, you know, contrabanda. We have something. Yes, we have. I think one of the men who have such a sack in the
אנה, האם יש לך מושג מה הביאו הילדים מן הגטו החוצה כדי לקנות אוכל או דברים כדי להכניס לתוך הגטו? במה סחרו? What was the commerce going? What were the things?
How did they pay? How did they pay for the food?
No, they didn't pay. They had from
they stole it? They stole?
And they have, for example, the other colleagues. They have other colleagues, and they have, you know, the situation that was going to the village. Some of them, okay, the first, the contrabanda, this biggest one, when they was, let's say, for the older people who was involved, they was, you know, they paid. Normal was paid, there was handel. This was regular handel. People from the village was coming with this, you know, with the horse, with this carote, with the horse, and they have the kartofle, some, you know, chicken, some other, you know, kind of the meat, yaika, the eggs, you know, cheese. They was in the huge, you know, huge transport, but the small, like the boys, was in store. They was stolen. They was have from some friends. They have some present from the people, or they, you know, there was I think that there was the store. I think most of them, because there was the guys who made it. This is from the outside of the wall. There was, most of them was boys of the street.
Anna, by the way, I don't know, maybe it doesn't exist. Any person didn't make a research about the shmuggle, about the contrabanda? About that?
I found is the new book, Przemytnicy Życia, the Smuggler of the Life. It's the memoir. It's not, it's from the 2018, and it's only...
אני מראה לנו את הספר.
But it's not as the...
These are memories.
Polar, yes, it's not scholar. It's not scholar. We don't have yet now. As I said, the people saying now, some historians, they said, we still don't really put work on the archive of the smuggler. So we have only, but even this is unique. What was, there was somebody finally said, that was not Jewish, there was but who was living with the Jewish, who was also, there was involved in the smuggler, but he was the not very small young boy, but we don't have still. I think it's a little bit late because we don't have the testimony anymore. Only from archive we can find something, but I'm not sure if archive have this is really in documentation we can find how was exactly, because this was from the Black Street. This is what from the guys, man who was little bit criminal also. I don't think that after the war somebody said, oh, I was smuggler. I don't think so.
This was not something that you could testify on yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
Anna, what is the picture that we see?
This is still till now we have part in Warsaw. We can see this is what you have in the front. This is the biggest also the bazaar. But Hala Mirowska was, Hala Mirowska was in 18th century. There was built of the Russian army during the Tsar. But what I want to say that Hala Mirowska was in the border with the ghetto. So also the Hala Mirowska was something important during the ghetto time, because Hala Mirowska was bazaar, also bazaar. Till now is bazaar, but before war was famous bazaar also for Jewish, because Nalewki, as you know, everybody know Nalewki, but Nalewki was only Jewish, typical handel. But don't forget that we have simple handel and we have the handel from the highest. And somebody who have the some products was the street only when the people was doing the dress, from the kapelusze, from the cups, and higher for the higher, you know, client, for the richest client. So the Hala Mirowska was bazaar, but for the little bit more richest, you know, the client, and they have the products little bit in high society, little bit. Not very high, because who wanted to be in the high society, so was going to the Marszałkowska, like you have in Tel Aviv, this Zavengov Street. But this was
Shivat HaKochavim.
Ken. So was, you know, was middle class of the high society bazaar.
When was this picture taken? I mean,
this was during the occupation. You can read Plac Hala Mirowska, czasy okupacji. It's meaning the Plac Hala Mirowska. Hala, it means something like big house, hala, something for exposition, you know.
Like a hall.
Mm-hmm,
hall.
mm-hmm. Yes, and Mirowska, because from the Mira was some officer of the Tsar time, it's his name, and during the occupation. 21, the tramp was...
Let's see if we have more pictures.
I was trying to find this picture. Is rare. You can't find so easy because it's only about the smuggler life. So I didn't want to show Nalewski because everybody knows Nalewski. So this is, I wanted that you will know a little bit more about the Jewish life in Warsaw, because it's this is in Świętojerska and Grzybowska, I don't remember, but Świętojerska, it's like that. not like that, like that. And the people was, it's part of the ghetto, and people was, you know, it's during the ghetto time, but Świętoirska was, how you said, Dugri, like you see Dugri, not
Right.
Right, to right, Dugri. So this is the exactly, you can see how was looking the Świętoirska in the end of the street to more to the Plac Krasińskiego, because to Ciasna, ulica Ciasna, where there was the wall of the ghetto was like around, was going around there. Ciasna, it's still now, and was, Ciasna, it's meaning straight. The street was narrow, very narrow and straight. So this is it's exactly what means Ciasna. And Świętoirska, it's meaning Święty Jan, Saint John.
It comes from Świat, world.
Świętoirska?
Yes,
No, święto is sanctus. Sanctus. Sanctus.
Saint,
because there was the in Świętoirska was in the end was the old church, something St. John, and the street was the name before the war, and they was keeping till now. We have this Świętoirska there, but the completely it's in the same part. You can see the same way almost, but all the building was completely damaged during the uprising.
And they were rebuilt it from, yeah. Yeah, we were getting close to the end.
Yes, but
yes.
If you have some more photo,
I will see if I have more.
I think one it's with the man who have this sack on the.
No, this already.
And
yes, just a minute. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Here.
Yes, you can see how was exactly
wow.
The war.
I mean, just to take this picture, and I mean, this is amazing. I mean, this is smuggling.
Yes.
It's not a film that you take a photo, you know. יחיאל, אנחנו רואים ממש ילד ממש מוריד שק מעבר לחומה, ואני תמהה, איך מצלמים דבר כזה? זה פשוט מדהים.
The small kids was working very hard, really. There was not like, you know, that I'm stuck, something bread, little bit. No, they really was working very hard. 13, 12, 11, they was really already involved in the handle. But the handle was not like, you know, and he had some little, there was all the conspiration, all the, you know, the combinacja with who.
A messy handling. It was not like give and take, honest.
No. There was, you know, they should to find this. They was going in all the Warsaw was looking. They shouldn't be very careful. Nobody catch, you know, such a boy, you know, during his war. They was not stalling like. I don't want to say that they didn't stall like, you know, they stole somebody was going and they stole. No. Nobody was doing like that. Even during the war was not such a stalls. The stallings with the combination, you know.
It was a big danger to do that.
Yes, of course, and they did with there was the friends, the colleague, you know, in secretly they have a pseudonym, even they know well them, but you shouldn't, you know. They said you will go there to this street, to this shop, you will ask somebody will give you, and then there was all the life, you know, during the war. It wasn't so easy. And look, and he did have this such a whole, the sack, and there was, you know, to find the moment when the Pan Granatowy, the Policja Granatowa, the blue policemen, they will not look. But most of them, before it was Ukrainian, because with Ukrainian they couldn't more, but before it was the Granatowa Policja, even we can say many things about Granatowa, but they took the bakshish, you know, and there was everything paying by, you know, that in the moment was exactly like 1 o'clock will be the guys with the food to get to. So please, in the Warta, in the wall and the gate, please go like that you will be in the back, that you will look like you don't see. And there was going, and everything was, you know, by the time with whom, and this I can pay, this is more, it's close the eyes, he will close the eyes. So was everybody was involved, not few only person, but everything, because you was needed to be sure with whom you can do it, you know, because if you met the wrong person, you was killing. So there was all the many people was in contrabanda involved to survive.
Wow, this is really amazing.
כן, מישהו צריך פעם לכתוב על זה מחקר על סמך כל מה שנשאר בארכיונים, ואולי מן הזיכרונות של אנשים אפשר למצוא. אנשים בטח סיפרו בספרים, הופיעו כל כך הרבה ספרים עם זיכרונות, אבל זה המון עבודה לחפש את הדברים האלה. אני חושב שאנחנו כאן צריכים להפסיק. אנה, תודה רבה, זה היה...
בבקשה. I made for the kids, I made for these kids, because really not all of them survive.
כן.
התמונה שאנחנו רואים עכשיו זה באמת מדהים, פשוט רואים ילד מטפס על חומה ומעביר שק, ויש שם אנשים שאני לא יודעת, אולי מישהו מקבל את השק, אבל זה לא שצילמו סרט, אתה מבין, זה אמיתי, וזה הברכה, זה לא משהו שאפשר ככה לצלם סתם, שהכל...
דקה נכונה מתי לעשות את זה.
זהו, זה פשוט מדהים, זו תמונה מדהימה. כן. אנה, המון 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 תודה, זה ממש...
בבקשה.
תודה רבה, אנה.
זה מאוד מרגש, זה לא סתם, זה לא סתם.
Hope you know little bit, more than you know.
תודה רבה.
בבקשה.
אנה, תשקלי לכתוב על זה משהו עם הדוקומנטים. להתראות.
להתראות, תודה רבה. להתראות.
פרופסור שלום.
להתראות.
בבקשה.
פרופסור שלום, אני מצטער שלא הצגתי את עצמי, אבל אני באתי לפני שאנה התחילה.
שמנו לב, וביום חמישי הקרוב אנחנו קוראים את עדותו של חיים גרדה על סופרי יידיש בברית המועצות.
טוב.
להתראות כולם. ביי ביי.
ביי ביי.